guys, it's Hannah here from foodinspirer.com, and thank you so much for coming back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome. I hope you're excited to see what we're making today. So today we are going to make a super delicious, really light, kind of a summery dessert bake. It's actually going to be a rhubarb and apple coconut meringue slice. That's the best name I could come up with. So I kind of thought of using rhubarb in a recipe that isn't the traditional rhubarb tart that most of us think of. And there are eggs in this recipe, so it is not vegan. However, it is dairy free and could possibly be made gluten free by substituting the flour for oat flour or a gluten free flour of your choice. So this recipe is super delicious with whatever vanilla ice cream that you've got, or even some coconut yogurt, some coconut whipped cream, or just regular whipped cream if you are not plant-based or vegan. And the base of this recipe is essentially going to be a shortbready type of biscuit base on which we are going to have a jam of your choice layer. On top of the jam you will have the mixture of the apples and the rhubarb slices, on top of which there will be a meringue with coconuts. And it's all going to get baked together and it's all going to be gooey and warm and delicious. So I really hope you guys will like this video. The full recipe will be up on my website foodinspirer.com with pictures and exact step-by-step explanations of how to do the recipe and full proper scaling of ingredients. So without further ado, let's get into the recipe, and yeah, I hope you guys will like it. So as you can see, I have got all of my ingredients weighed up right here. So I'm going to be using my lovely KitchenAid to make this recipe. I find it is the easiest. So in here I have got 150 grams of butter or plant-based butter of your choice weighed up. I used the dairy-free pure spread. I just find the taste is quite close to butter, and it's actually, this is super delicious just bread on bread also, or whatever you like your butter on. So I'd highly recommend that. So the butter goes in here. With the butter you are going to cream 150 grams of sugar. I'm just going to use granulated sugar because that is all I have at home right now, but you could use a mixture of brown sugar and white sugar or coconut sugar if you'd like. In here I have got 3 stalks of rhubarb chopped up. No need to peel them. You can peel if you want, but I just find it adds color and you won't get the grittiness of the skin anyway, as it will bake down. With 3 cooking apples, quite thinly sliced. The slices are about, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 millimeters thick. No need to be super thin because they will pretty much disintegrate into the dish anyway. Here we have 300 grams of plain flour. Just plain flour is fine, with 1 teaspoon of baking powder sifted into it. You have got 6 egg whites with 6 egg yolks. This is going to be to sprinkle on top of the fruit. I had just 1 jar of jam, regular apricot jam. It was just in the fridge for quite a while, so I thought I would use this. And I had lightened this up with just 2 tablespoons of hot water just to make it a little bit lighter. And we're going to be using cinnamon and nutmeg to sprinkle on top of the rhubarb and the apple slices also. You want to get a baking dish for this recipe that is pretty big, as we have a whole lot of fruits to be put into it. So I have used my absolute biggest baking dish that I could find. I just put a tablespoon of oil in it, spread that around with a pastry brush, and sprinkled some flour, a mixture of rice flour and plain flour on top, just to grease that out a little bit so it doesn't stick. So without further ado, let's get started on the base. So you want to cream your sugar with the butter. When that has creamed up, you are going to add your 6 egg yolks. You're going to mix that in one by one. Then I'm going to be adding my flour, to which I will also add 6 tablespoons of oat milk. So you're just going to take it out, scrape it down from around the edges. You can see it's all cut up there. I'm just going to scrape that down and add the 150 grams of sugar. You can reduce on the sugar a little bit if you wish. I normally tend to do 120 instead of the 150. Just want to get them to roughly mix together. So that is what that's going to look like. And you are then going to add your egg yolks one by one, as gently as you can. After that then, we're gonna add the flour. And if you think that the dough is too dry after you have added the flour, that is when it would be time to add. So that is what that looks like. It's okay if it curdles because you're going to be adding your flour anyway. That is precisely what you want the dough to look like. So it's not a very dry biscuity dough, it's actually quite a medium sort of a wetness of a dough. If yours is any drier than this, that is when you would need to add the oat milk. However, this is precisely what we're going to need in order to use it for the dish. So you're just going to get that out of there now. You're going to grab your dish. You're literally just going to take this mixture and spoon by spoon put it into the base of this dish and flatten it down. So that is essentially all we are going to do. Okay, so as you can see, I've literally just used the spoon and patted the entire mixture down into the base of the dish. You want to try and get it as even as you possibly can. And if you wet the spoon, you'll find that it doesn't stick quite as much to the paste. So that will make it significantly easier. We're just going to take the jam that I have diluted down with around 2 tablespoonfuls of hot water next. And we are just going to place it lightly all over the dough. And I'm going to layer on apple rhubarb. I'm going to be adding sprinkles of the cinnamon and the nutmeg, as well as a small few pinches of sugar. And then once all that is done, we're going to make the meringue. So I am back and I have just layered the rhubarb and the apple slices on top of each other, as you can see here. And throughout the layers I have also put pinches of nutmeg and cinnamon and some granulated sugar, just from a spoon, just sort of eyeballing it, seeing how much you think you will need. You can also add some lemon zest in here if you have it, or orange zest would be absolutely beautiful too. So that is the first, second and third layer done, you guys. And all we're going to do now is just make the meringue with the 6 egg whites that we have got here. And I'm going to add about 3 tablespoonfuls of sugar to the meringue just to thicken it up. It's what allows it to have that really thick, moussey texture and make sure it's not going to fall apart. So you're going to whisk until it starts to become bubbly around the edges. You're going to add a tablespoon of granulated white sugar, or you could probably use coconut sugar here too. And once it starts to get thicker, you're going to add 2 more tablespoons, and then I'll show you at the end the consistency that it needs to be. We will then spoon it on top of the fruit layer, and it is good to go into the oven. We're back after 35 minutes and this is the cake. It has just come out of the oven. So as you can see, it puffed up a whole lot more while it was in the oven, but it's actually going to shrink back down when it comes out, so don't worry too much about that. You can see the meringue layer is pretty thick. Underneath that we have the fruits, which have actually compressed quite a lot, and then you have the lovely jam and then the biscuity layer underneath. So I'm gonna let that cool completely before I cut into it, just so you can get the proper clean slices. If you would like yours to be a little bit lower, not quite as high and chunky as this one, you could get a tray that is maybe somewhat wider but definitely longer, and then make the cake in that, and possibly use parchment paper to line the tray if you are going to use a tray instead of a Pyrex dish like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool, I'm going to slice it then, and it is absolutely gorgeous with coconut coconut yogurt, regular yogurt, vanilla ice cream, whatever vegan ice cream you like, even some whipped cream or coconut cream. And this cake can be made using regular dairy products. If you'd like to just use regular butter, salted butter works beautifully in it because the salt works really well with the acidity and the sweetness of the rhubarb and the jam. And you could also use regular milk if your dough does need milk, if you find that it does. So that's the cake, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you liked the video, please do subscribe to this channel and like it, and comment underneath in the comment section what else you would like to see. I have some more videos coming up, such as the potato patties that you guys have been asking for, as well as my sourdough bread and some delicious curries coming up that I've been talking to you guys about on my Instagram. So thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for giving your time and watching the video, and make the cake, and if you do, tag me, and see you next time.